Welcome back to the NCV Mathematics Level 2. Today we are looking at factorization and specifically the method of grouping. In our problems for number 1 we have x to the power 3 minus 2x squared minus 3x plus 6. So normally we start with finding a common factor, but looking at these terms we find there will be no common factor. X appears in the first three but not in the last one. 1, 2, 3 and 6 are not common. They've got nothing in common except for 3 and 6 and 2 and 6. So there is no common factor. If there is no common factor, we can now group them. And when we do group, we normally take the first two so that we can have a common factor if they can. We're looking at the first two here, x to the power 3 and x squared. X can be common, and 3 and 6, 3 can be common. So we're going to group them in groups so that they can become common factors. So that is the first group you will group together. And importantly is once you select your group, you must put a plus sign between the two groups that you have selected. So here you can see we've selected x to the power 3 minus 2x squared and this group 3x plus 6, but we separated them with a plus sign. This is important. So between these two now you can find the common factor, and we said common factor will now be x to the power 2, the smallest exponent. So that will be the common factor there. When we take out the common factor, we divide it into x to the power 2 and into x to the power 3 we get x, and into 2x squared we get a 2. In this case here it is going to be the negative 3 which is the common factor. Careful here, the negative 3 is the common factor. Divided in there, x remains, divided in there, negative 3 divides into positive 6, answer is negative 2. So here it creates another common factor. Can you see the x minus 2, and the x minus 2 is also now common. So we will take out that x minus 2 as the next common factor, divide it into this pair over here, x squared will remain, and divide it into the next one and x minus 3 will remain. This is our final answer. X minus 2 and x squared minus 3 are the factors of this factorized. In our next example, we've got a whole range of values: 2a, 3ax, ac, 2p, minus 3px plus pc. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factors. Quite a number. So we can also group them in pairs of 3. If we look at the first 2a, 3a, ac, a can be common in the first 3, p can be common in the last 3. So we can group them in that group with a being the common and again plus in the middle and the next group. So from this group that we've grouped here, a can become common. If we take out a there and we divide it back into each term, 2 into that gives me an answer of 2, a into 3ax will give me an answer of 3, and a divided into ac will give me an answer of c. On this side here we're looking at p, but which p? In this case we must be careful when selecting our common factor now here. If we select a negative, then it will influence the signs when we're looking for another common factor. So here we'll have to take a plus p as a common factor, because when we divide it, it gives me again a 2, gives me a negative 3x which we want here, and a positive c which we also want here. So we must be careful when selecting this common factor over here so that we can have another common factor to further factorize the problem. So again now 2 minus 3x is our new common factor because they appear in both sets here, and of course when we take it away here, a is left, and when we take it away here, only p is left. So our final answer will be 2 minus 3x plus c, and a plus p are my two factors. In my next example I've got 24, 4xb, 16xa and 6b. Again, perhaps if we use grouping straight away, we can group this too, because 24 and 4 might have a common factor, 16 and 6. But before anything of this takes place, remember the first thing you always ask is there a common factor? Looking at 24, 4, 16 and 6b, we can see that there can be a common factor first. That common factor would be taking out a 2 rather, sorry, and 2 is common because they are all even numbers. So taking out 2 here, divide into 24 gives me 12a, 2 divided into 4xb gives me 2xb, 2 dividing into 16xa will give me an 8xa, and 2 divided into 6b will give me a 3b. So this will now make things easier, and this now also can be now further factorized by grouping this with and those two. So we can further factorize this using the grouping. The 2 however will remain. We select the 2 to 12 and the 8 because they both have a's in them, and we group the 2x and the 3b because they both have b's in them. But again, be careful, a plus sign, and then the signs we must remain with a negative 2x and a negative 3b. So that 2 again outside will remain. So here 4a was the common factor, and when we divide 4 into 12 it gives me 3, and 4a into 8xa will give me 2x. In our next part we will now take out minus b as a common factor there, and when we do take it out, divide into that gives me plus 2x, and a negative divides into a negative gives me a positive 3. That creates another common factor between 3 and 2x, right? And then we can take that out as a common factor, but still the 2 remains outside. 2x plus 3 or 3x plus 2, doesn't matter how you write it, is the common factor. Taking it out there will give me the 4a left, and taking it out there will give me the minus b left over there. And that is how you would factorize that one.